Hello, writers, and welcome to the Researchers Writing Podcast. This podcast is for all your researchers in the sciences who want to write papers in a structured and time efficient way so you can get published in top tier journals at a calm and steady pace. In this podcast, we talk about how we can write papers that are clear, concise, and compelling, and how to make the process of writing less hard. My name is Dr. Anna Clemens, and I am an academic writing coach with a PhD in chemistry. In the Researchers Writing Academy, my online program, I've helped hundreds of researchers get their papers published in their target journals using a streamlined writing process. If you want to succeed in your academic career, mentor your students effectively, and have your research make an impact in the world, you are in the right place. Let's get into it. Hello, writers. Thank you so much for tuning in today again. We are going to finish our mini series today on time, on carving out time to take a writing course or even carving out time to write. And well, we first talked about in the first episode of this little mini series, we looked more about into like the deeper reasons for why we may not be making time to take a writing course. We looked at limiting beliefs and other unhelpful thoughts that you may have about your writing or you may have about being a writer. And in the second part of the series, we then looked at actionable strategies to carve out that time to take a writing course. And today, in the third part, I want to introduce some practical techniques to you that will help you supercharge your motivation to take a writing course. And again, I'm going to be walking you through quite a few techniques, but you don't need to adopt them all. The idea isn't that you need every single technique. The idea rather is that you kind of pick and choose what feels easiest to you right now. Implement that one. And then once that is implemented, you may want to come back to the episode and maybe pick a different one and implement that and kind of build up on technique upon technique. And you don't have to implement every single technique. Like if a technique doesn't resonate with you, then well, fine. You don't need it at all. This is just meant for inspiration and see if maybe any of these feel really doable and really realistic for you. The first technique I want to talk to you about today, I think is the most important one. And if you don't know which one to pick, and this one feels doable, then I highly, highly recommend picking this one. And this technique is called keeping your why top of mind. Because when you choose to take a program, for example, a writing program, you always want to have at the forefront of your mind why you are choosing to take that program. What specific goals do you have for that program? And also, what exactly will that program help you achieve? I have a really nice example. I'm really glad that one of the members of the Researchers Writing Academy told me this. This is from Jenny, and she wrote me the following. She said, I have tied the course clearly to things I care about. So I want to be a good mentor and teacher. And so it's important to me that I have a process for writing that I can guide students through. I also want people to do things because of my work, so I need to learn to be more memorable. I put those reasons on a note to myself, and when I wrote goals related to the program, I also added those reasons. Now, I really love how strategic Jenny was about signing up for the Researchers Writing Academy, how she clearly thought through, okay, what are my goals for this? What do I want to get out of this? And not only the goals, but also the why, like why do I want to achieve those goals? Kind of tying it into this like bigger picture. And for her, this was being a good mentor. And also it was because, well, she wants to achieve something with her work. She wants people to listen. So she needs to find a way to communicate her research better. And these were kind of her whys to why she chose to take the Researchers Writing Academy. And these are great reasons, I think. But yeah, also, yeah, I just admire how strategic Jenny went about this. And I think y this is a great thing to do when you sign up. Um, you could, as Jenny did that, write a note to yourself. I can imagine a note like that could go somewhere in your office, maybe even on your computer screen or something like that. Maybe it goes on your whiteboard in your office. Maybe it goes on your Trello board. If you have Trello or if you're using any other kind of project management, I know some people use Notion. Can you put a note that is quite visible that you see sort of when you open the project management system that you see kind of, quite quickly. Can you put a note somewhere there? I think that is like super, super powerful to just remind you of the why. Um, and yeah, this is technique number one, keep your why top of mind. All right. Technique number two, to, you know, um, making time, increasing your motivation, to take a writing course is incorporating learning into your existing routine. Um, I think if you have already a pretty set routine at any point during your day, then you can make use of something called habit stacking. It is much easier to do something consistently if you can sort of tack it onto an already established habit. Um, I use this technique myself in many ways, but one way I use it is more in my private life. But I use it for errands. So I have always like kind of a list of errands that I want to get done in a given week. Um, and in order for me to not get stressed about, oh, when will I do this errands? And so they don't like just float around in the back of my head at all times and make me feel stressed, I know I have like a time reserved after breakfast. So right after I finish breakfast, or sometimes even during breakfast if I feel like it, I get my phone out and any errand I can do on my phone, like ordering something, making like an appointment for something, planning something, maybe messaging someone, communicating about plans. I always do this after breakfast. Um, and this works really well for me because yeah, I already have this routine. I'm sitting down for breakfast. I usually have my phone near me. So, yeah, it just works really well to do a habit stacking there. I think it wouldn't work as well if I just had like, if I would do it at a different point of the day where I didn't already have something I was doing, regularly every day. It would be much harder to then like kind of make myself sit down and now we're going to do the errands. So yeah, this is a bit maybe a silly example, but just goes to show it works. Um, I have another example as well from a member of the Researchers Writing Academy, and this is from Raquel. Um, Let me read out what she told me. She said, I have been scheduling 20 minutes in the morning in my morning routine, like the 5 a.m. club, only I wake up at 6. Well done, Raquel. It has been working while I've been at work, but now that I'm on holidays, I have been struggling to make time to keep going. I will try watching videos after lunch, see if it works during holidays. Now, I just want to read out another example right away, and then we're going to talk about both. The next example is from Farina, another member of the Researchers Writing Academy, who we also heard from in the last episode. Farina says, I use some evenings and early mornings to watch single lessons, sometimes two or more at a time, but usually a single one because that way it's not that long. Um, all right. I love both examples. I mean, Raquel, very impressed that you managed to wake up so early and have a very early morning routine. Definitely not for everyone. I know myself, I couldn't do that, but if you are a morning person, then this may be a way to, get some things done. And I really love how Raquel says, well, she's just scheduled 20 minutes for professional development in her morning, kind of stacked it into the or onto the different things she was already doing and kind of integrating it into that. Um, Also, Farina mentioned that she usually just watched one single lesson in the early morning or in the evening. Um, and I just want to, draw your attention to that. They both said that they're using relatively small chunk of time to watch the course, to take that program. And I think that's very important. This could be a strategy for you as well. This might work to, yeah, just schedule 20 minutes per day if you want, or several times a day. Or, if you want to go slower, you could do it just a few days a week. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, based of Raquel's example, is she pointed out this only worked for her in her regular routine. And I think this just goes to show how important or how powerful, really, like turning this around, this habit stacking works. Like it's really hard to keep like a habit going if you don't already are engaging in other habits. I can imagine it's really hard during the holidays to wake up at 6 if you don't have to. And when you don't do that, well, then it's really hard to like keep going. Like if that's your habit, it's really hard to like keep going with all the other things that are in your morning routine. And I think this is totally fine. Like if you want, if that only works during your regular work time, totally fine. I think honestly, professional development is something you should do during your work time, not during your holidays. Your holidays are for, relaxing, recharging, playing, I don't know, family time, whatever you want to do with your holidays. But um, it's totally fine to expect that you won't get any professional development done during your holidays. All right. Well, this were two techniques. Let's get to technique number three, which is similar to technique number two. It's called stack taking lessons with writing. Highly recommend doing this one. The idea is that you, as you write, if you already have an established writing routine, if you don't, no worries, don't worry about it. Skip this one. But if you do have writing sessions already in your calendar that you tend to commit to, then you could stack taking lessons with writing. In the journal publication formula, that's the course that we teach inside the Researchers Writing Academy, we actually organize the course so that this is very possible. It's basically kind of the idea of the course is that it kind of follows you along as you write. So basically what I want to say is that the course content is organized in the exact steps that you need in order to write your paper. So for the journal publication formula in particular, it's ideal to really watch the corresponding lesson just before you start writing that part of your paper. That way you really know exactly what to do. And your writing sessions then will immediately become more efficient because you're like, you're doing the exact most efficient time-saving thing during that session. Yeah, so this is technique number three, stack lessons with writing. If you don't want to procrastinate anymore when you need to write a research article, if you want to get rid of the feeling of overwhelm because your backlog of data that isn't published is just like growing and growing, then I have the perfect solution for you, our free training for researchers who want to publish in a calm and steady way. It's an hour-long training and it's interactive, and I will walk you through my entire system to get published in top-tier journals using a streamlined writing process. Just go to researcherswritingpodcast.com/free and start watching, well, for free. So that's researcherswritingpodcast.com/free. Let's get back to the episode. Okay, let's continue with technique number four. One of my favorite ones. It's called, or I called it, accountability and community. We, I have several examples here. The first one is we always encourage our members to organize virtual watch parties. So organize to meet with each other and, take the course together. This being an online course, and it's like that with many online courses, you don't have like, a session booked in your calendar that you have to show up to take to watch the lesson. And that's, of course, often a really big advantage because, often this doesn't work because of like time zone, or maybe, I don't know, something, it doesn't work with your calendar, or maybe like last minute, your child gets sick and you can't come and then you miss the whole session. Um, so there's a lot of like advantages to having an online course. You can take the lessons as many times as you want. You can like watch it half speed. You have, really good closed captions. Um, there are a lot of advantages to online courses, but of course, the big disadvantage is that, well, there is not that accountability often there to actually take the content, to actually watch the course lessons. Um, and what we have noticed is that if you have a community of peers, of other people who are, who signed up, who are committed to taking that program, that is super motivating. If you can, get in touch with those other researchers, um, and kind of hear how it's going for them. And yeah, maybe even meet and take the course together. That is huge. Like that really, really does a lot. Also, I think when you hear other members' successes with the course material, that is so, so motivating. I've heard this from members of the Researchers Writing Academy, and I've also experienced this myself when I've taken programs. It always like you may then also get a little bit of feeling, ooh, they like made the time. And didn't we like sign up at almost the same time? And they have already achieved X, Y, and Z. And you kind of feel like, ooh, maybe I should like get going with this. And it's just like it gives you so much motivation, I think. Also, conversely, though, sharing lows, like if you have something about writing that just like doesn't work for you, that you're really frustrated about, either if you share this in a community and then other people, um, tell you, well, actually, this is the same for me. Like I struggle with that too, just this like feeling you're not alone. This can be so, so powerful. And we also found co-writing to be extremely helpful for our members. I hadn't anticipated this at first, but our co-writing sessions and our writing retreats that we host, where we kind of meet to co-write. So we meet and everyone works on their own paper, on their own writing. But having these like structured, facilitated sessions really, really works so well for our members. And we always encourage members, and some members do this, to use those sessions to watch the course. So actually, in the like case of our program, the Researchers Writing Academy, we do have a lot of live calls during a week, which you can then use to actually take the course. So you have to, maybe organize things a little bit more yourself, but having this like live component and having community and other people there, yeah, definitely helps a lot. All right, let's see. I also wanted to say, we also have had researchers, and I really, really recommend, like, if you have a research group or a department of researchers, a lab, we've had several groups sign up together, to purchase like a group license of the Researchers Writing Academy. And what one group did that I really, really admired was they then scheduled, after signing up, getting everyone their license, they scheduled sessions where they would watch the course together. So they really made use out of that, like having already a community already committed. Okay, we're taking this program together. They really made the most out of that. I think that's an excellent strategy. What you also could do is meet and discuss the course lessons to say like, okay, let's watch, I don't know, module two, lesson one in this week, and then we all meet on a Friday, for example, and discuss it, and see whatever makes sense to us, what we want to together, like, implement um, from that, or maybe even already doing the worksheet, the corresponding worksheet for that lesson, and discussing the worksheets together. I think that works really, really, really well if you signed up for a program in a group setting. I can highly, highly recommend that. All right, let's see. We had four techniques. Now, technique number five um, is I don't know. You think it's a less important one, but sometimes the ones that feel like they're kind of small things can often make a really big impact. So I do want to share this one. It's dedicating a notebook to the course or program that you're taking. Um, I'm also doing this for a course I'm currently taking, because the teacher of the course recommended this. She was like, well, do dedicate a really nice notebook to this program so that you can, you have a really nice booklet of everything you have learned and all your like practical exercises that you can read through and really like treasure in that way. I found that really, really helpful in my case. Usually I use a Google Doc to make notes on courses that I take, because I usually do tend to take them, at my desk, at my computer. Um, but in that case, I started, sitting on the sofa with a tablet and then having my notebook there and take notes. And that was just really, really, yeah, worked really, really well for me. It really, yeah, it motivated me to go back to the course, but also really to go through the content again. So I find myself actually leafing through my notebook, quite a lot. And that really for me allows the takeaways, the things I've learned to really sink in. Also, a member of the Researchers Writing Academy echoed this. And this is Farina again, and she said this to me. It helped me a lot to designate a pretty paper bag to take notes. I took notes on every module and lesson using different colors to highlight and noted my thoughts and connections in combination with summarizing Anna's slides and drawing sketches. I'm a very visual learner, and writing things down helps to burn them into my brain. It took longer per lesson, of course, but I feel like more of the input stuck this way. Yeah, lovely, Farina. I'm glad you used the strategy. I think taking your own notes is a really powerful learning strategy in general. So highly recommend it. And doing this in a nice notebook, maybe designing your own notebook, yeah, can really boost motivation. Doesn't probably work for everyone, and that's totally fine. But if you like journaling, if you're maybe into bullet journaling, something like that, then I think this is a really good strategy, so definitely recommend trying this one out. All right, let's look at the last technique, technique number six, which is turning taking the course into ritual. I already alluded a little bit to this when I was speaking about how I took this course where I had the notebook for. Um, I really, yeah, for me, this has really become a little bit of a ritual. I'm doing this a bit differently from how I normally take courses. And I really like that course content. It's a lot of like personal development. So for me, like having a cozy atmosphere with like candles on and like a quiet room, being alone at home really helps me for that. But we also have a Researchers Writing Academy member who used a similar strategy to take the journal publication formula, and that's Sabina. We actually will share an interview with her soon where she talks about this. I did want to give you this example as well. She went to the library to watch the lessons, and yeah, whether you go to the library, which really helps Sabina, she really loved that ritual, or whether you go somewhere else, for example, like a coffee shop, yeah, this is totally up to you. There are, I think, two effects that happen when we do this. The first effect is that if we have like a designated place where we watch the course, where we take a program, it gets us in the headspace faster. We are more readily able to focus on that program to kind of switch, our focus to what we're about to learn. Um, because we kind of train our brain, oh, whenever we go to the library or whenever we go to this coffee shop, well, our brain then knows, oh, it's time for the journal publication formula. Well, let me get ready in the background. Um, and the second effect is we're coupling it with something. more like enjoyable. Which, yeah, if you make a really nice ritual out of it and you enjoy that ritual, um, you you it makes you want to do it more often. I really think it's a beautiful thing to really celebrate this time that you are taking to invest in developing your writing, doing this really intentionally. I think this also signals to our brain that this is an important activity. If, well, if you're not ready to carve out time for taking professional development, for example, carving out to take a writing course, then I think it's worth repeating the limiting beliefs exercise or doing the limiting beliefs exercise if you haven't done it yet from part one of this mini series. Um, and yeah, then come back and choose one of the techniques. Okay, let me summarize the 6 techniques I've shared to supercharge your motivation for taking a writing course or to take a writing course. Technique number 1 was keep your why top of mind. Technique number 2 was incorporate learning into an existing routine. Technique number 3 was stacking watching lessons with writing. Technique number 4 was accountability and community. Technique number 5 was dedicating a notebook to the course. And finally, technique number 6 was turn taking the course or program into a ritual. Yeah, again, I just wanted to emphasize you don't need to implement all of these techniques. Pick the one that feels easiest, and then maybe add a second one and maybe one more when you feel ready. The most important thing is that the technique you chose really, really try it out. And if it works for you, then fine, keep going. If it doesn't work for you, try out a different one. Um, and thank you again to all the Researchers Writing Academy members who let me share their examples and their experiences. Um, I also wanted to say, I want you to remember that taking a course is really a limited time investment. For example, in case of the journal publication formula, the core content is just 8 hours. So that means if you invest like 2 hours per week, this is 4 weeks. Um, or if you invest like 1 hour per day and maybe taking into account like skipping the odd day when things are busy, it's 2 weeks out of your life. So it's really, really reasonable. And yeah, loads of the techniques that I've shared in this episode and also in the last one, you can keep in mind, well, you only need to do them for a bit. Like if your only goal is to carve out that time to take the course, I think that is really doable in most schedules using those techniques. But I also think if you can, it really is a beneficial thing if you start arranging your schedule, your time in a way that allows you to continually learn and uplevel your skills. So even after you've then taken the journal publication formula, for example, you've done this pre-work or you carved out the time that will pay off throughout your career if you can stick to that time. Like if you keep that time available for taking other professional development and kind of having time dedicated in your schedule to continually learn and develop your skills. Well, good luck with getting, well, your whole brain aligned and making time and freeing up energy to take a writing course. I feel like we really tackled this topic of carving out time to take a writing course from several different important angles. And I'd really love to know, well, which strategies resonated with you the most. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please put a comment down below, or otherwise, please find us on social media. Please do share with me what resonated with you, what you're trying out, what has worked for you. And next, let's get to our listener question. Question is from Denise L. Thank you, Denise. Denise asks, can I use the journal publication formula for writing my dissertation? Well, this is a question we have been getting quite a bit. And Well, the journal publication formula, if you don't know what that is, I've outlined sort of the writing process I teach in detail in episode number 2, so you can go back and listen to that. Um, the journal publication formula, that's that writing process. It's really hyper focused on writing research papers. So we really go into the detail of every single section. We really our use case is definitely research papers, like having original research that we report and we give you everything you need. I think to do this very efficiently. But the overall concept, like the overall strategy of like the steps, is basically the same for research paper as it is for dissertation and also other kind of genres of scientific writing. So it's the same as for a review paper, for example. It's also the same as for grant proposal. But the specific advice I'm giving in the course, in the journal publication formula, and the examples I'm giving, they're all geared towards or they're all from research papers. That being said, we've already had several members who used the journal publication formula to write their PhD thesis. One of whom has just submitted her thesis. She's been to a lot of co-writing sessions as well, and she's really, on her own, just like used the journal publication formula for her thesis. Actually, now that I'm talking, I'm thinking of a second member who's doing this as well. She's kind of writing a dissertation, and then is also going to turn that dissertation into a paper. But currently, she's first using the journal publication formula for a dissertation. So we have members who are doing this, but you have to do more work on your own. We don't provide feedback on thesis writing. We only provide feedback on writing research papers. That's what we know best. That's why we feel really confident about, our feedback and our advice and suggestions. But if you do want to learn the process, and you think you are able to sort of take it and then go from there, and you maybe want the community, and all the other elements, like, you want to just be part of a program of researchers, and we have a lot of PhD students in the program. They're our second biggest group after assistant professors. Then I think it could be a really good fit for you. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. This episode concludes our 3-part mini-series on carving out time to take a writing course. Thank you so much for listening. It's been fun, and see you next week. If you would like to submit a question for me to answer on the podcast, please head to researcherswritingpodcast.com/question. That's researcherswritingpodcast in one word.com/question. And if you enjoyed this podcast episode, it would really mean the world to me if you could review it in your favorite platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whichever app you're using. The more reviews a show has, the more likely it will be shown to others who are looking for podcasts in the academic writing space. So thank you.